Some of my oldest memories from when I was a kid are of car rides. This is well before I owned a DS or anything, so my entertainment consisted primarily of whatever was outside the window. My parents would usually make up games for us to play, and on especially long car trips, one of our favorite things to do was keep track of the various state license plates we saw. I wouldn't say this made me a connoisseur of license plates or anything, but it is where I first learned contempt for Florida drivers. I think because of those memories, I've always enjoyed seeing various license plates on the road. It's really cool when you're driving and you see a license plate for a state on the other side of the country. It's like finding a rare Pokemon card or something. So yeah, license plate tier list. I think a good license plate is one that's colorful and recognizable from a distance, but more importantly does a good job of representing what makes its state unique. I know most states have multiple plates, so I'm just going to go with what each state has as its current standard, or in the cases of multiple standards, the one that's been around the longest. Also, there's like 50 of these, so we're going to go kind of quick. All right, ready? Alabama. This is one of the newest plates on the tier list, and I think it looks quite nice. When I hear Alabama, I don't immediately think beaches, but we do have a quite lovely view of the Gulf in this image. Very nice colors used, very scenic, and also I think the Heart of Dixie sticker in the bottom corner is an absolute must. Very nice addition. Overall, this is a very solid, very pleasant plate to look at. I think this is going to be a strong S tier. It is all downhill from here, baby. Woo. Alaska. Basic gold is basic gold. I mean, we've got the state flag and the last frontier slogan down at the bottom. The plate just looks old as hell. It's no nonsense, but it's also not very attractive. There are plenty of great Alaska alternatives. This one is going in the D tier. Arizona. This one is almost 20 years old, but it doesn't really look like it. I think the sunset over a silhouette of the desert is very modern, very Arizona. I think purple is a very striking color choice, and the Grand Canyon State tagline is a very solid addition. Overall, this is an exquisite and iconic plate. It's been around for a while, but it still looks pretty solid today. This is going to be another S tier entry. Arkansas. So the diamond refers to the Crater of Diamonds State Park. Cool, I guess. This just feels like an unusually old license plate, especially for something from 2006. It has not aged very well, in my opinion. It just feels super early 2000s. I think it really deserves an update. Also, the natural state is a very mid-state nickname. I'm not a fan of this plate. This is gonna go in the C tier for me. California. This one's pretty iconic due to its use in movies and games, but it's also pretty basic. I mean, red and blue text on a white background is very generic and will be seen multiple times throughout this video. I'll give it a pass for pop culture significance, but I'm really not too happy about it. This is C tier contender. Colorado. Green is certainly a unique color choice, but honestly, I'm kind of cool with it. I think the Rockies are certainly an iconic part of the state, and I like their inclusion in the license plate, although just the two colors, the green on white, makes a fairly basic feeling design. It looks good, but it could definitely benefit from an update. It is clearly aging. So yeah, B tier. Connecticut. Lots of blue here. I mean, Constitution State is a decent state nickname, but this is another one that's clearly showing its age. I don't think this does a good job at all of representing what Connecticut is about. So this is going to be another D tier entry for me. Delaware. Hey, congratulations. You're the first state. This is just a super basic design. I mean, we've got some very unique colors, but this is a plate that has barely been updated over the past 80 years. Really just nothing going on here. This is going to be a D tier. Florida. This one is absolutely iconic or infamous, depending on the driver. I think white is a pretty bland color for a background, but I like green as a contrast. And hey, nothing says Florida like Florida. And oranges. I mean, we got the Sunshine State tagline. It's just a pretty iconic looking plate. Let's be honest. I will give it the B tier. Georgia. Ooh, it's beautiful, it's lovely, it's bright, it's colorful, it's full of peaches. It screams Georgia. Very new design, as you can tell. It almost borders on having too much detail, in my opinion, but overall, this is still a very pleasant plate to look at. I love this plate, love this design, another easy S tier entry. Hawaii. I mean, the rainbow is pretty iconic. You know, I love plugging the rainbow, but this is a super basic plate, and it's very clearly showing its age. I would love to see an updated version of this plate, you know, maybe having some volcanoes or beaches, you know, flowers to look at, something alongside the rainbow, but otherwise, this is just a C tier plate, you know, it's pretty bland. Idaho. I like the way the red, white, and blue are incorporated here. It makes for a very pleasant and America looking plate. The subtle silhouettes imply that Idaho is, in fact, quite scenic, and of course, you gotta plug the potatoes. That's a must. I always really loved this plate. It's not quite as detailed as some of the newer ones, but I think this is an absolute classic. This has gotta go S tier for me. It's lovely. Illinois. Big fans of Lincoln up there, I see. I think the subtle Chicago skyline is kind of cool. Other than that, I mean, there's nothing really crazy going on here. It's just a decent plate design. I think it'll be another B tier entry. Indiana. So you got a very simple landscape featuring a covered bridge. I don't know. It seems kind of, I don't want to say boring, milquetoast maybe, for such a newer license plate, but I mean, it's pleasant enough, but I don't think it's really super striking or special like any of the other plates in S tier. We'll just put it in A for a very pleasant looking design, but that's about all. Iowa. We got some grass, we got some buildings, we got some stripes. I'm just not a huge fan of this design. It's kind of basic, it's kind of simple. Even if there isn't a whole lot to your state, I mean, you could at least go with something like Indiana. You know, that's a pleasant landscape. This is just another C tier for me. Not feeling it. Kansas. I was actually quite surprised to find out how old this design is, because oversized logos feels like a very modern thing to do, and I quite like it. I think it works. I do wish there was more colors used, you know, maybe a stronger contrast to leave a stronger impression. But overall, this is a decent plate. I'm feeling a strong A tier. Kentucky. This is another one that desperately needs a redesign. It's just an inverted Connecticut. I just don't like how this plate looks. I mean, Bluegrass State, it's wedged up way up there using like 4-point font. It looks terrible. At least as opposed to Connecticut, I actually think of the color blue when I hear Kentucky. So I will give it the pass into C tier for that, but this is needing a redesign pretty soon, guys. Louisiana. This used to be a dead copy of California, but they have recently added a pelican as well as this nice sunset gradient, and I think it looks pretty nice. So you know what? We will promote Louisiana to B tier. Maine. I like the lobster plate better. I mean, this is a pretty decent looking plate for as old as it is, and the Vacation Land tagline actually dates back to 1936. Jesus. I think my main problem is that chickadees are not really what I think of when I hear Maine, but you know, they're cute, you know, they're solid looking. It's a decent plate, but no, seriously, go with the lobster one. This is a B tier. Maryland. It's another California plate, except this one hints at their atrocity of a state flag. C tier. Massachusetts. If you're gonna go ahead and say you're the spirit of America, then you gotta plug it, okay? You gotta plug it. You gotta go all out. This better be the most patriotic thing I have ever seen, and instead, it's just a super bland, ugly-looking design. This is our first F tier. I hate this. I hate this. Michigan. What exactly am I supposed to say here? D tier. Minnesota. 10,000 lakes. Holy shit. This is a slightly better Connecticut and Kentucky. It kind of hints a little bit at the Minnesota scenery. And we've got the Minnesota state outline as the kind of separator for the license plate. You know, that's clever. I like it when states do that. We'll give this one the pass up into B tier. Mississippi. This one features the state seal in the middle and is brown. C tier. Actually, they also have a new license plate coming out in 2024, which features a magnolia blossom from the new state flag on an all-white background. I like the flag reference, but it's still C tier material. Come on, Mississippi, you gotta step your game up. Missouri. Again, I like how the red, white, and blue is incorporated, but for the most part, this is just mostly blue text on a white background. Also, the state seal is barely noticeable here. It's a decent try, but there's just really not enough color here. There's not enough contrast. This is B tier. B tier work, Missouri. Montana. I mean, this is about as basic gets. It's not outright bad. It is better than some of the plates here, but it's inferior to pretty much any one of the other alternatives that they've got as the Montana standard. This is going in C tier. Can we get a hashtag bring back the 90s, please? Thanks. I want to get that on trending. Nebraska. Another one of the newest plates on the tier list, and I think it looks really slick, to be honest. I mean, between the font and the background mosaic, this is super clean and modern looking. I do wish it was a little more recognizable from a distance. Again, you got to get some higher contrast. You gotta show off those colors more. But other than that, this is a really cool design. I really like what they've done with this. Going in A tier. Nevada. We got the western font up top. We got the stylized, triangulated mountain range down the bottom. It's a little out there, but honestly, I kind of like it. I kind of dig it. I think home means Nevada is a bit of an odd tagline, but I'm just gonna ignore that. This is going S tier. Super colorful, very fun, love it. New Hampshire. This is such an old-ass plate, and it uses such faded colors that I frankly could not tell what this was at first, but apparently it's Cannon Mountain. Okay. I was going to go C tier, but I got to be honest. That slogan, though, live free or die. Damn, New Hampshire. I did not know you were about that life. Mad respect. You are going in B tier. New Jersey. This is, it's sticking out, but not in a good way. I think the yellow is unique, but it's just not a good looking color. It's a super bland looking design. If you're going to call yourself the Garden State, again, plug it, do something fancy with it. Do something nice, give people a reason to visit New Jersey. This is going to give me to steer clear. I'm going to head back into Pennsylvania if I see this plate. Jesus. This is going in D tier. New Mexico. A very striking plate here. We've got yellow with the red sun symbol, very similar to the state flag. We've also got the green Native American zigzag bands in the corners. This is certainly a very unique and identifiable plate, but this is also a very ugly looking plate. I gotta be honest. I think it's very harsh looking. It's kind of bland. It's kind of old. I don't think there's a whole lot going on here. It's not suiting me a whole lot. This is going in C. New York. As iconic as the ghetto yellow with broke blue writing was, I like this new design a whole lot more. Sure, it is mostly white. It's a whole lot of background space, but I like the colors used. We've got the nice view of Niagara Falls, the Statue of Liberty, New York City skyline, very pleasant, very clean looking plate. Excelsior to B tier, New York. You're doing good work. North Carolina. Naturally, I'm going to be biased towards my own state, but come on. First in Flight is a pretty objectively cool slogan. We've got little silhouettes of the Wright Flyer, the sand dunes. It's a very pleasant looking plate. I do wish that the North Carolina First in Flight, I wish that wasn't written in red. It's a bit of a strong contrast to everything else, but for the most part, this is a pretty solid plate. I would like to see an updated version, but otherwise, it's going in B tier. It's a classic. North Dakota. Oh, where was this hiding all my life? I was not expecting to love this plate, but man, it's so nice. We got the bison, we got the sunrise, the canyon, wheat stalks. Legendary tagline. Legendary. Literally legendary North Dakota. I'll tell you what else is legendary. This fucking license plate. This is going straight to S tier. I wish more states were like this. Beautiful. Ohio. This is a bit much. It's certainly distinct, but it's almost overwhelming with how much has been crammed onto this plate here. We got, sunrise, wheat fields, skylines, rivers, trees, children, the Wright Flyer, which, hey, we had that first. We claimed it first. You may be the birthplace of aviation, but at least we know how to print the Wright Flyer correctly. However, I have to admit, this is a pretty solid design. It's very colorful, very bright, but I do think it's a bit over the top in terms of detail. I think there is an appropriate level of detail and color that can be added. This is a bit too much for me. I think it's going in A. Oklahoma. This is a pleasant enough plate. We've got the scissor-tailed flycatcher, being the state bird on a blue sky with a subtle landscape silhouette in the background. We've also got this extra Oklahoma silhouette in the middle as a separator. It seems a bit unnecessary to me. It kind of breaks up the design, but overall, I think this is a solid-looking plate. I quite like it. Going in A tier. Oregon. This one's an absolute classic. It's incredible how a design from the 80s looks better than most designs that have come since. We've got the bright contrast of the Douglas fir against the more subtle background. I love the way that looks. Very pleasant colors used, very cool. I wish there was, maybe a slightly stronger contrast, maybe like Oregon. Maybe if that were in red or bright orange, that would be really cool. But overall, this is a very nice, classy, clean, modern-looking plate. It looks great. Strong A-tier contender. Pennsylvania. It's a pretty iconic plate, but let's be honest, it's also, it's pretty boring. It's pretty bland. I like the use of the keystone within the plate, but I feel like it could be better incorporated. Maybe if you took a page out of Kansas's book, did a nice, massive, oversized keystone that's hanging off the plate. I think that could be pretty cool looking. Consider hiring me as your designer, Pennsylvania. I'm just saying. I think I could do good work. But until then, this is going in C tier. Try harder. Rhode Island. This kind of feels like a waste of a redesign. I mean, it is a slight improvement to the grayer, darker blue that you had as your previous plate, but it's just another wave design. It's really not all that different. I feel like you could do something a little more in-depth, a little more detailed that really shows, hey, we're the ocean state. It's okay. It's pleasant enough. I'll go B, but you really need to try harder, Rhode Island. Come on. South Carolina. So we've got the nice palmetto plug, which combined with the colors used here is very reminiscent of the state flag, but I gotta be honest, this is just a straight downgrade when compared to the previous license plate, which featured the nice sunset. Also, what the hell kind of a slogan is, "While I breathe, I hope"? Hope for what? That I get off these shitty-ass South Carolina roads? This is going in B tier. It looks good, but could be a lot better. South Dakota. Alright, so not quite as nice as its northern brother. It's a bit of an odd choice to just use a JPEG of Mount Rushmore as your straight-up license plate. Bit of a weird flex, but okay. But hey, nothing says South Dakota quite like Mount Rushmore, so I'll give it the pass into B tier, even though, let's be honest, a full-color license plate, it does stick out just a little bit. Tennessee. Straight blue. I guess someone was a fan of the Montana plate. I think the one thing this has over the Montana plate is the use of the flag emblem in the middle as a separator. I think that's a really clever little detail. It's very simple for such a new design, but I will give it the pass into B tier. It's not bad looking. I think it's quite pleasant, but I would like to see a little more detail in the future. Texas. Of all states, to not go with a completely over-the-top, bombastic design. Why Texas? You are the last state I would have expected. This is just significantly inferior to either of the previous two designs. It's disgusting. It is just unbelievably bland. Not even red and blue. Not even red and blue. It's just black on white. It is so bland. It is so boring. This is immediate F tier, worst plate we have seen today. I swear, the next plate better give me reason to hope in life. Oh, thank God. So this is a bit interesting. We've actually got two standard plates that were introduced simultaneously for Utah. The first uses this skier image as well as this nice detailed red header and the greatest snow on earth tagline. The second features delicate arch with the Life Elevated slogan, and both used stylized font for Utah. Rating these as an aggregate, they're exquisite, they're immaculate, these are fantastic plates. Another strong S tier contender. Vermont, the Green Mountain State, you don't say. I mean, this is just an old ass design. It's just super basic, super generic, but hey, at least it's pretty distinct, so I will give it the C tier. Virginia, it's for lovers and boring ass license plates, F tier. Washington, D.C., I know it's the capital. I know you got to have like some level of formality, but this is just kind of bland. Again, it's just red and blue text on a white background. I feel like you could do so much more than having the Washington family crest in the middle. Also, I think the tagline "end taxation without representation" is just very confusing. Doesn't that imply that it's still happening? And aren't you guys the ones responsible for making sure that doesn't happen? Confusing tagline, bland design, going in D tier. Washington State. This is another older but very classic design. It features the very subtle Mount Rainier silhouette and the Evergreen State tagline down the bottom. I do miss the funky 80s font, but for the most part, this is still a very good, very classy design. We're gonna go, yeah, B tier. West Virginia. This is the newest plate on the list, and it sure as hell doesn't look like it. This is a complete waste of a modern redesign. You could have gone for such a bold, bombastic design, and instead you went for a slightly updated version of the same old thing. I mean, the wild, wonderful tagline isn't even placed in a location that makes sense. This just needs more color, more scenery, you know? Plug your landscapes. Plug the fact that your state is absolutely gorgeous. Give people a reason to visit it other than the coal mines and lung cancer. Very disappointing. It is going in C. Wisconsin. This is another pretty classic design that has aged all right. I do slightly prefer the original 80s design, just a little more detail, but overall, this is quite solid, a decent modern rendition of that. I think it is starting to show its age, could use a modern redesign, but overall quite solid. We're going to go B. And lastly, we got Wyoming, and what a way to end it. We got the full color JPEG image once again. It's super bizarre and out there, but I mean, I like some of the finer details, the bucking horse silhouette, the use of rope as the little border here. It's nice, it's all right. We're gonna go yet another B tier. And that's the tier list. So overall, we got quite a few nice looking plates in these states, but also quite a few bland ones that could certainly use a redesign. So if you're living in C tier or below, you know, contact your representatives, solicit a congressman, you know, tell them that they need to change the license plate. Especially Texas. How are you guys living down there? What the hell is going on?